Hello there, everybody, and welcome to TK Live for Thursday, July the 6th. My name is Steven, and that's my brother Matthew, and we're down here in the studio today to talk about trucks. We like to go live here on the channel every other week. I think this has actually been 3 weeks since we were live last.
I think we missed one.
The schedule is not always perfect, but we like to come live and talk to you guys about the latest in the world of pickup trucks. So we scour the news, we go over all the truck news. We also like to talk to you about what we're doing here on the channel, what we're up to, what we have coming up. And then, of course, we want to hear from you guys. So go in the comments, drop in whatever questions you have. Matthew's always going through them as we go, and we want to hear from you guys. So, hey, Ron, I wanted to make sure I got Matthew's name out there so you remembered. So thanks, man. As we go, drop your questions in. But there's a bit of news this week, man. Not a massive news week, but a couple stories. We will go ahead and start with the news that just broke today, which was the unveiling of the GMC Canyon AT4X AEV. Yeah, it's a mouthful, right?
I know.
And now it's just all these letters and numbers again. We're back to alphanumerics.
Yeah.
But AEV stands for American Expedition Vehicles. That's a company which was already or has been in business for many years in the aftermarket, selling you things for off-roading and overlanding. And General Motors has now teamed up with AEV. It's going back a couple of years now. They've been doing this. And so we've already seen the Colorado AEV, and now here it is, the Canyon. So honestly, Matt, the headline with these trucks, 35-inch tires on mid-size trucks, which is pretty sweet. When you get the AEV edition, you get an additional 1.5-inch lift on the suspension, and that accommodates those nearly 35-inch tires. GM calls them 35s. They're actually 34.4s.
Oh, goodness.
A lot of companies do this. If you're kind of close, they'll round up. But even still, those are massive tires for a mid-sized truck. And then the other thing that AEV does is it brings along all the steel bumpers and 5 steel skid plates. They're boron steel, which I don't know anything about that.
I don't know anything about that.
GM says that it's super strong steel, so I'll take their word for it. It's a protection package, but now more so than just protection too, it's the tires. I mean, like I said, that's really the headline. It's awesome that we're getting 35s right from the factory on our mid-sized trucks these days, especially these small trucks. And I can tell you, we did drive the Canyon AT4X. It's a great off-road truck. The Multimatic suspension delivers. It's been delivering since it was first put on those trucks. So now to get the extra tires and then all of that protection, it's hard to complain about. I think the only thing we'll probably eventually complain about is the price. They didn't announce it yet, but AT4X is already into the $60,000, $70,000 range. So you got to imagine it's going to be even more than that. We just recently had a Sierra AT4X AEV, so the half-ton, and that truck was like $110,000. Great truck, and we put it up on the ramp. The video's on the channel. It's the coverage underneath is amazing. It's one of the best skid plate packages I've seen, and they're all steel. A lot of companies go for plastic sometimes, but they're all steel. So it's a good package, but again, it's going to be expensive.
It's a pretty crazy truck. Just looking at the way the tires are stanced too.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if that entire look comes from the fact that it's lifted higher, or they've actually set it out on a wider track.
So I mean the AT4X, just like ZR2, is wider than all the rest of the trucks in the lineup too. I think it's about 3 inches. So exactly, you get that wide stance. I should also mention the powertrain. So you can only get the high output 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder, 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. They didn't mention changing the gearing for these trucks with the bigger tires, so assumably they don't do that, and I've seen that before. That's common. So that also means that you might feel a little bit down on power. But, anyways, I think it's a nice-looking truck. I'm just trying to see.
What do you think of it in the meantime? What do you guys saw it there briefly, and I'm sure you can look it up at home. What do you guys think it looks like? We've got a couple questions on it already, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, it's one thing I just want to touch on. What's interesting with these trucks, and we keep seeing this, is the automakers seem to be trying to take a bite into the aftermarket more and more these days. And this is literally them teaming up with an aftermarket company. But it just makes sense. I think they all sat around boardrooms and said, you know what? Why don't we get more of that business?
There's millions of dollars on the table, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys are buying these trucks, you know. I mean, the overlanding guys, the off-roading guys, and the work guys, too. You think, you know, contractors nowadays are all driving the $100,000 trucks because it's a write-off. So you may as well get the best one. You may as well fully load your Canyon AT4X AEV. I've been practicing that all day. You want to rattle those off because, you know, you got to go to that one weird remote cottage job once every 7 years as a contractor so you can justify that truck, right? But, I mean, you're talking multi-million, perhaps multi-billion. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Don't crucify me for that. But, I mean, even if the manufacturers can cut into that margin a little bit, why not?
Yeah.
Like, it's just money sitting there on the table ready to be scooped up.
Totally. One good question I just saw there in the comments, what I'm looking at here, is whether the truck got those bump stops, because on the ZR2 there was hydraulic bump stops. It's from Mr. Mister. So I'm just trying to see, because I didn't actually see that mentioned. So let me see.
Was it a bump stop or like a damper? It's right there.
Right here. One big difference is the ZR2 Bison and the AEV. The Chevy comes standard with the Multimatic front and rear hydraulic bump stops that are designed to withstand harsh impacts. The jounce control dampers are available on the GMC. They're going to cost extra. So interesting. So on the GMC, it sounds like they're part of a package. I wonder, but they didn't say AEV. So they weren't totally clear. But no, that was a good question. I wanted to be clear on that. Yeah, they actually added these super cool hydraulic jounce bumpers on the Chevy. Just one extra level of damping, right? That you actually, if you get into them, then you get an extra...
External from the Multimatics.
Correct.
But Multimatic makes them.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to follow that. Okay.
Yeah, so good question. I'm surprised they wouldn't have just come on the GMC considering how expensive it is. But
no kidding.
I guess they're trying to differentiate the two trucks somehow, and I think the Chevy will always get maybe a little more of that off-road gear where the GMC gets more of the luxury, nice stuff. But yeah, good question. Okay, so that's pretty much it on Canyon AEV. I think we can move on to the next bit of news. And what makes me laugh, I don't know if you're laughing about the same thing.
I'm laughing about what I said to you when I saw this morning.
Well, so it's a Toyota teaser.
Yeah.
And the first thing I want to say, Matt, is we spent so long covering the Tacoma teasers that I feel like we're gearing up now for another 3-month-long teaser coverage.
Probably.
But anyways, Toyota is teasing something exciting, folks. Here it is. They released this photo today. What you're looking at there is the brand new Toyota Land Cruiser, along with, of course, a classic FJ40. Toyota is showing us this, and they're saying yes, they're confirming the Land Cruiser's coming back. Actually, they confirmed that it's coming back in a little while ago.
A little while ago, they said
But this is the first picture of the thing that we've actually seen, and that's a decent teaser. You can already see it pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. I'm kind of surprised they're bringing Land Cruiser back. However, it's such a popular nameplate that it makes sense just from a marketing perspective, I think.
Yeah, so I was laughing because we saw that image at 9 a.m. At 9:02, I text Steven and I said, FJ! FJ! All in caps. And then about 30 minutes later, it clicked and I went, oh crap, it's the Land Cruiser.
And it would have been amazing, right? The rebirth of the FJ Cruiser. And we've heard about that before too, but no, this is definitely Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
And again, I think they went with that because they just wanted to use the name. But we don't know exactly where the new Land Cruiser is going to slot in. That's what I want to talk about, is how it's going to fit into the whole Toyota lineup.
The only verbiage we got with that image this morning from Toyota, they wrote, and I'm just going to read it verbatim and then I'll pick it apart a little bit. They wrote, with 65 years of heritage, you can choose to slow down or reinvent yourself. We chose the latter. That was it.
Yeah,
so,
not much.
In my head, right away, what is Toyota reinventing? Toyota doesn't reinvent. They go slow. They watch the other guys do everything first, then enter the market very under the radar with some kind of, answer to every other product that already exists. Toyota doesn't jump. But then I read that and I went, electric.
Yeah.
Electric. That was my gut. That was my gut right away. Hybrid's an obvious. Electric or plug-in, at the very least.
It would have made sense, but I don't even know, man. I think it's just going to be a hybrid because now we can switch gears and say Toyota's also kind of predictable. They've already shown us This is the new Lexus GX, and you can already look at the silhouette of it and just go, that's going to be the Land Cruiser.
That's the Land Cruiser.
Exactly, because this is that new worldwide. It's sold as the Land Cruiser Prado, but now they're bringing it here. So when they announced the Lexus GX, they announced it's getting the 3.4 liter or 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, and then they said it will eventually get a hybrid. But I didn't see if they said what hybrid it would get. I don't think they did. In this product, it makes sense it would be the Hybrid Max with that V6.
Yeah.
But then in the Land Cruiser, I actually think it could get the hybrid that the Tacoma just got.
The 4.
And go with the smaller 4-cylinder hybrid. And that's sort of what I want to talk about, which is really interesting to me, is how does now they're going to have GX and the Land Cruiser, which are based on the same platform, and then where does the 4Runner fit into that mix?
But GX is Lexus camp.
Right,
So Toyota has a very hard line there.
Sure.
So Lexus, Toyota.
So even there,
they
you have
stack up.
4Runner, Land Cruiser, and Sequoia. Now, Sequoia is a big beast of a people mover, not really meant for off-roading.
But so is a Land Cruiser.
Well, sure, but Land Cruiser will always have, I think, more of the off-road gear. And then 4Runner, I don't see how Land Cruiser and 4Runner aren't going to butt heads more. They didn't used to because Land Cruiser was way more expensive. But now I'm just looking at it going the size of it, all the powertrains they have available. I don't know, man, how a Land Cruiser and a 4Runner are going to exist next to each other. And maybe it gives Toyota a chance to give 4Runner down market. Wouldn't that be nice to get a more affordable model?
I mean,
but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But to me, it seems weird. There's a lot of SUVs.
Their SUV strategy has always been bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the height of it. When you had you had all those same products. You had Sequoia, you had Land Cruiser, you had 4Runner, you had RAV4. Then you also had FJ squeezed in there a little bit too.
You're right. Yeah.
So I mean,
FJ
there was a while there, Highlander. There was a while
Yeah.
there where it just didn't make sense. There was so much overlap in the product that it just came down to what do you like?
Yeah.
Because they all do basically the same stuff, relatively
Yeah.
speaking. I mean, I wouldn't take a RAV4 where I would take a Land Cruiser, fine. But it just got ridiculous. And that's when FJ died.
Yeah.
And Land Cruiser left Canada or
No,
North America?
Yeah, North
Land Cruiser
America.
left and FJ died. And then they just carried on. And that kind of thinned out the herd and made sense.
Yeah.
So to bring it back is kind of like, so does 4Runner go away? But
Yeah.
I think 4Runner's too big a name.
I think so
for them to
too.
drop.
Just like Land Cruiser, and then maybe the question is, maybe then it gives them the chance to make 4Runner electric, or to do something with that FJ electric concept that we saw.
Chop 4Runner down to a 2-door with a removable back roof and take on Wrangler.
That would be cool, man. And then just position the Land Cruiser where the 4Runner kind of is now.
Yeah.
You know? But still, it's awesome to see that the Land Cruiser's coming back. I did also note a couple other things. So the Lexus GX it's well set up for off-roading. It gets standard full-time 4-wheel drive. It gets a Torsen limited slip center differential as standard equipment, and then you can also get a rear locker. It says that the Torsen will actually distribute the driving force while the vehicle is going through a turn, let's say. So it's able to send power back and forth, which is pretty interesting.
Like a torque vectoring almost.
Yeah, and then a couple other off-road things. Switching into 4-high is now faster versus the previous generations, thanks to an electronic transfer case. So my point here is just to say on the GX, they went on and on about all this off-road stuff. This is all stuff that we'll get in the Land Cruiser as well. So I don't have direct timing on when the Land Cruiser will arrive, but I can tell you that we're going to see it this summer for sure,
Yeah.
probably in a month.
If Tacoma timeline gives us any indication, we saw first teasers in late February, and we saw
Yeah.
the truck in May. Right?
Yeah, I
February,
think
March,
that-
April, May. 4 months.
I'm assuming there was more Tacoma teasers than will be Land Cruiser teasers.
Fair
but
enough.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
We've already had 2 for Land Cruiser, and I think we had like 8 for Tacoma? 8
We had a
separate
lot of
teasers?
teasers,
It was
yes.
a ton. It was a big build-up. Luckily, the truck wasn't totally disappointing, because that would have been a long build-up for a total flop. Although we haven't driven it yet, so we can't totally render
fair.
that verdict just yet. But yeah, there you go. So interesting. Land Cruiser's coming back, and more off-road SUVs is always a good thing. So again, I'm excited to see where it slots in. Plus, we just drove that Lexus LX 600. That thing is it's really nice.
It is a
It's
really nice
really
truck.
nice, really good 4-wheel drive system. Drives beautifully. Again, very expensive. I know it's the Lexus version, but still very nice. All right, Matt, so there's one other story I want to cover. I got to go grab a picture so I can show you guys. It is the story of Lordstown and the Lordstown Endurance. So the Lordstown Endurance is an all-electric pickup truck, and they made a big deal out of it. The U.S. government even made a big deal out of it at one point, talking about electric production coming to America. I'm just getting the photo together right here. And the reason I mention the government, because you'll see Vice President of the time, Mike Pence, in this photo. They visited the Lordstown factory. And now I'm getting to the point, which is that Lordstown Motors just filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 11. And you know what's crazy, Matt, is like we had this wild rush of electric truck manufacturers. We had Lordstown, we had Nikola with the Badger, we had the Canoe EV truck. Dare I say we
Rivian.
have... Well, Rivian actually came to market. And
Fair, okay, if that's the qualifier, they didn't make it.
That is the important part.
Make it.
Rivian
Now,
was part of the
if
group,
they hang
though.
around, that's another question.
And then Cybertruck, which I do believe will come to market, but still hasn't. So as of today, it's not real in my head. The point is, we had all these electric truck manufacturers, and yeah, basically none of them were left standing except for the legacy manufacturers, Rivian and Tesla. And Lordstown, they had a lot of issues. GM was a small partner in the business. They sold them the factories, and then GM got out of bed with them because they didn't want anything to do with them.
Yeah.
They had investor issues where apparently they were still taking investments after they had some fires that weren't disclosed to the investors. So then they had issues with that.
Yeah, investors don't like fires.
And then finally, they teamed up with Foxconn, which, to the best of my knowledge, is the company that builds the iPhone. But anyways,
I don't know anything about that.
A massive company. And when they announced Chapter 11 bankruptcy, at the same time, they announced that they're suing Foxconn because this company got in bed with them. They partnered up with malicious intent, basically. They're saying that Foxconn's intent was to take down Lordstown Motors. So this is like a pretty wild story. We'll have to wait and see what the conclusion is.
Interesting.
But they actually did build some trucks. They were actually selling them strictly to commercial outlets. So there are some people out there with Lordstown Endurance trucks. But yeah, no, the company is no longer. They're trying to sell off all their assets. We'll see if they get swallowed up by a bigger company or anything like that. But anyways, yeah, just kind of an interesting note on that whole rush for electric trucks and how a lot of these companies are gone now. And sadly, how a bunch of the CEOs seem to be not upstanding folks. A bunch of people who they were trying to get rich quick, you know?
Are they ever typically?
And it just didn't seem to work out for them.
And like, it seems, just to compare it or liken it to something else, and I mean, I'm changing gears here slightly from the automotive world, but Bombardier launched the very first snowmobile ever in the history of snowmobiles. And in that first 10 or 15 year period, and I'm sad my dad's not here because he'd be able to rhyme off the number, there was 100 plus snowmobile companies.
Something even more than that, like 250 or
250 snowmobile companies cropped up in the span of a decade.
Yeah, jumped on a trend, right?
And within an additional decade, they were all gone, save for 4 or 5. And it's actually interesting. This is a little tidbit, a little piece of news that came out of earlier this week, or last week rather. We just lost one of those remaining 4. Yamaha just announced that as of 25. They will no longer 25.
Yeah.
They will no longer be building snowmobiles.
Yeah.
So a little bit of side news there, but it reminds me of this electric scene. It's like electric trucks, yay! There's so much coming. None of it made it.
Yeah. I see Alan there in the comments mentioned the Bollinger B1 too, and you're right.
Yep.
And Bollinger, I was hopeful. I went to the reveal of that truck. I met Mr. Bollinger, nice guy, but again, this is just a guy with a dream and a lot of money he put into it. And I thought the product was cool, but man, launching a car company is tough, and electric truck company is even tougher. So, yeah, very interesting. And the last thing I'll say about Lordstown, just real quick, is that the one interesting idea that set that truck apart is that it had in-hub electric motors. So the motors were actually in the hub in the wheel. The idea being you have zero loss transferring power using drive shafts. You have no drive shafts.
Interesting.
So that was a cool idea. Now the downside was you have a lot of unsprung weight, so you have these heavy tires, right, full of electric motors. And then B, the electric motor spends its life just taking a beating out there on the road. So I mean, you'd have to really, you'd have to get that thing buttoned down pretty well.
Forgive me, I don't think she's watching tonight, but my wife is famous for curb rash.
And that's it.
My
The electric
God,
motor
I can't
was built into it. But that was the one thing that set that truck apart, and it was always just an interesting idea. Again, the whole idea was just, less components and less loss of power.
Holy cow.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. Actually, we got to come back to Yamaha though, Matt, because that is
Sure, we can talk about it a bit. It's out of the vein of what we usually talk about.
Totally. But as you guys maybe know, we're huge snowmobilers. And I owned a 1999 Yamaha Venture 600 triple, 2-up sled. And
we had a Bravo. We had an Enticer. We had an Enticer. 250.
Yeah.
When we were like
little.
Younger than we should have been riding. Let's say we weren't even old enough for a snowmobile license yet.
Yeah.
And that's 12.
Yeah, so too bad. I mean, Yamaha announced they're exiting the business. What's interesting is that the snowmobile business, I think not like power sports, they're a little different. It was struggling for many years. Snowmobile business, they were not having a good time.
Steady decline.
And then over COVID, like everything else, it exploded. You couldn't get a new sled to save your life, right? It was impossible to find them. I honestly wonder if Yamaha wasn't going, COVID's over, we just made a bag on this. Let's get out while we're ahead, basically. Why let it go back to the way it was? Because it feels like it will go that way, which is that, snowmobiling was shrinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was my kind of take on it.
And the other thing too is it's been a while since I've looked at the report. I think it was like last year when they actually put out their sales numbers, and Skidoo and Polaris, tied for 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're huge.
Arctic Cat, a distant third, and Yamaha was bottom end of the market. And the only products that Yamaha was really selling were twofold. They sold the Viking, I believe it is, which is that 570 twin utility sled, off trail work sled, and that they just went north. They went north. They went to Russia. They went to just everywhere that you don't really want to go. Mm-hmm. But the only other thing they sold were the Sidewinders. And a lot of me, and this is me speculating, based on relationships between Arctic Cat and Yamaha, there's a lot of shared components there.
Yeah.
They share a lot of architectures, a lot of designs. And I mean, like those but the 3/4 size sleds,
sure,
they're just Arctic Cat's rebadged.
The Blast. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't see any reason why those designs and that portion of Yamaha's engineering couldn't carry on into Arctic Cat. And if we were to start putting Yamaha engines into the Arctic Cat chassis, maybe making them a little more reliable, blow a few less belts perhaps, then maybe there's something to be salvaged there. Because personally, Yamaha in the snowmobile space was always the, Toyota or Honda to me of the automotive world.
Just like ATVs and side-by-sides.
They
just
just
bulletproof.
They just keep going.
Yeah.
Steve, destroyed his ski. The damn thing barely ran, but it never left us on the trail.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, man. That snowmobile was amazing. It always started. I also remember getting that first 4-stroke Viper. I don't remember what year that was. 2004, maybe
the
earlier.
Viper and the Lightning we had.
I just remember Yamaha was that first manufacturer that was like, no, we can do big, heavy 4-stroke sleds, and that thing was a blast too. So.
And again, it got stuck, and then we almost died.
It was heavy. So yeah, I guess just RIP to Yamaha. Makes us sad, of course, to see a brand like that pull out of snowmobiles, but it is what it is, and hopefully the market just keeps on keeping on, and hopefully gets stronger because we love our sleds.
As we do every week. Hey, Ron. And
hey, Ron.
Yes, you would have had a John Deere snowmobile. Our uncle had an old John Deere snowmobile at his farm. And oddly enough, I only ever remember riding it in summer once when I was a little kid. I ran it across the field and back. And I remember doing that, and they were like, there's no snow! I was like, who needs a snow?
Yeah, again, just John Deere. All the old brands that made snowmobiles are wild.
Yeah,
fun.
Exactly. All right, well, I got a couple good questions here.
Yeah, we'll go back through some questions
We've
now.
got a cool new feature here, so I'm going to do this. Did that work? No, hold on. Hold on 1 second.
What does it let you do?
So I can remove my pinned message. Well, maybe I can't. Maybe I was hoping to be able to swap them out so everybody could see what I was talking about at the top. Oh, we just had a donation come in, so why don't we jump on that first while I play with this?
Yeah, thanks, Godric, 214, $5. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks, buddy.
It probably goes without saying, but I always like to say it, that any money that we receive just goes back into making these videos. They are expensive to make, especially with gas prices these days. So, yeah, we do appreciate it. And we are making a whole bunch of videos right now. We got lots planned. I got a bunch of travel coming up. I'm going to be on the road. I hope you guys saw my Jeep Wrangler video and know that it took me about, 36 hours to get home because I was caught in that frippin' United flight cancellation stuff last week. So, anyways, I had a bad travel week to bring you guys that Jeep Wrangler review. And yeah, Matt, the new Jeep Wrangler, I can touch on that real quick too because I just drove it. It's cool, man. You know what? Jeep, they're very careful with that product. I actually commended them for not messing it up more than I do for how much they change it. Because it's like the Wrangler could be changed. They could make it softer. They could do lots of things, but they don't. They keep it the way it needs to be, which is to say, full frame, full axles front and rear. They don't cheap out on any of that off-road stuff. And it's amazing. I mean, when I off-roaded with the Wrangler, I didn't feel like it was significantly better now. I wasn't like, wow, the 24 is incredible. But the last Wrangler was good. This one is good too. My headline on that new Wrangler is the airbags. Side curtain airbags in the back. I mean, that's been a big deal. It's one of the reasons why I would have personally usually gone for a 4Runner because it's way safer. And I always have my kids in the back seat. I mean, maybe, safety doesn't come top of mind for everybody, but especially once I had a family, I started thinking about it a lot more. So having those side curtains, I think, was a big deal. I think we can thank the Ford Bronco for Jeep finally stepping up with side curtain airbags in the Wrangler. What else? The other thing, Matt, they've built in is this trail, onboard trail system. So if you pay for the subscription, you get access to 3,000 trails across North America. And it gives you all the details. It tells you what's going to happen on the trail, the difficulty. It tells you spots to look out for, scenic routes, all the details you could want. You can drop pins on the trail. You can also make your own trails. So they've just spent a lot of time sort of refining, adding all those little kind of features. They got rid of the whip antenna. Maybe not a big deal for some people, but I think a vehicle looks way better without that old school whip antenna. So they've built that into the glass now. I thought the Wrangler was decent, and I got a chance to tow, Matt. They now can tow 5,000 pounds. Sadly, the 5,000 pound tow rating is only the Rubicon 3.6 liter V6 and 2 liter turbo. You can't do it with the 392. You can't do it with the 4xe. But if you get one of those two packages...
Can't do it with the 392?
No, 392, believe it or not, does not get the highest tow rating. Obviously not an issue with power, assumably it's with the suspension. But I don't know for sure. But yeah, it did feel good. It's not like a full float axle is a feature you're necessarily going to feel. And the Wrangler's never been a great tow vehicle. My experience towing with the new one is just that it's squishy, right? That's the one problem with the Wrangler or any off-road vehicle while towing. Even when you're going over bumps, you get that really undefined kind of float feeling. However, at 5,000 pounds, it still felt good. It felt in control. And I think it's really important on a Wrangler because tons of people tow with Wranglers. I always see people towing jet skis and towing boats and towing snowmobiles, travel trailers. So I think it was a really smart move by Jeep to up the tow rating on that new Wrangler as well. And then a no-brainer, a factory winch. I mean, come on. That's probably one of the most popular customizations on the Wrangler.
Yeah, of course.
So, and that's one of those things, too.
How many other companies and brands? I mean, hell, Stellantis has already done it on the Power Wagon. It comes with.
They have it on the Power Wagon.
Why not just jump right in?
Ford has it on the Tremor now, so now Jeep has a built-in winch on the Wrangler. Smart, comes with a warranty. It's all packaged nicely for crash testing, so it makes sense to get it from the factory. So yeah, again, sorry, a little aside, but I was just down there, so I might as well talk about it.
You got a lot of time to sit in the airport and prepare that speech.
Yeah, that is true, man. Oh my gosh, it was just a horrible, horrible time trying to get back to Toronto.
Alrighty, so they've given me this new feature where I can take the question we're talking about and put it at the top, and then as we grab the next one, I can swap it out. one after the other.
Okay.
So if anybody's following along, at the top of your chat there, you should see the question we're talking about if you would like to comment or add something as we talk about it. So this was from earlier in the evening. I thought we'd start off with it because it was a good question.
Okay.
What is the best full-size truck for someone who wants a fuel-efficient truck, drives about 100 kilometers per day from mountain roads at 60 kilometers an hour to highway speeds, debating between a Duramax 3-liter and a hybrid? Now, right off the hop, the Duramax 3-liter, if you're debating it, don't debate long, because it's not going to be around for much longer, unless you're looking at a used one, of course.
Yeah, well, no, the 3-liter makes sense. It's a great fuel-efficient engine. It's good to get numbers out of that engine. The half-ton is not going away. I think you're thinking about the midsize, but half-ton 3-liter diesel is okay for now. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, I think you're thinking about the baby Duramax, which went away in the Colorado. As far as we know, it's not going away. But no, 3-liter is great. Hybrids, right away, there's no pickup truck hybrids, save for the Maverick, which is geared towards fuel efficiency. The Power Boost and the Toyota are honestly more about power than they are about saving you fuel. So I wouldn't recommend either one for fuel savings. The diesel all day long, it's really easy to get good numbers out of that 3-liter, super smooth. My problem with recommending the diesel these days is that you're going to upcharge for the engine, and diesel fuel is way more expensive. At least here in Ontario it is.
And maintenance is more expensive as well.
And then maintenance, sure, oil changes. So even the diesel, I think, is tough. If you're already leaning GM and you want to save fuel, I think the 2.7 turbo. Get the turbocharged 4-cylinder in the half-ton. It's not going to kill you at the pump. It's not crazy powerful, but I wasn't disappointed when I drove it. So I think that if that's really what you want to save ultimately these days, that little turbo would serve you well. Or the diesel if you really want
that. In that type of driving, absolutely. You're doing highway, you're doing, even like you described, mountains at 60K. If you're moving, it takes more energy to get that mass moving than it does to keep it moving. So the small engine, it's working harder to get you up to speed, but as long as it gets there and can just go, you're in your best possible scenario. If you were the city guy in that situation, I would lean hybrid, because then at least you're getting the fuel savings of the shutdown, and you're getting that little extra electric grunt for every takeoff. Just takes some of the strain off of the fuel drinking system, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a fair point too. So that's it. Depends the kind of driving. But for the highway, yeah, man, I would go with the little gas engine. I really, like I said, I have no problem recommending it. I wasn't disappointed in it. And the diesel these days, it's making less and less sense all the time, unless you do a ton of mileage or you just love the feel. I mean, hey, if you're willing to pay for it and you just want a diesel, I totally appreciate that as well. But just from a dollars and cents perspective, diesels are getting harder to justify as well. So.
That's the truth. So I put this one up there. So Kevin asks, when do you think we'll be able to test the EV Silverado?
Yeah, hopefully soon. You maybe saw some other journalists just drove it. We didn't get invited on that one, so I've been bugging Chevy Canada to say, hey, of course, we want it as soon as we can get it. We definitely prefer to get things back on our home turf, so then we can tow our own trailers and go to the charging stations on our own. But we'll see. I assume that one will probably be a drive program sometime. I wish I had a timeline. I guess all I can say for now is we're trying. We're bugging everyone we can possibly bug to drive that new EV Silverado because it looks cool. So.
All right. And Kevin also following up with another poignant question. Are we still launching an RV channel?
Yeah, yes. Thanks for the question, Kevin. The answer is yes, but it kind of stalled, to be honest, because we initially launched, as you probably remember, TK Power Sports and RVs. We thought that we'd bunch those two together and then kind of quickly decided that was a poor idea. So we split off the RV channel into its own thing. And then what can I say besides we just haven't had time yet. We're killing ourselves to really get TK Power Sports growing. So we've been shooting lots of Power Sports reviews. We're keeping the truck stuff flowing. We will definitely get back to RVs and bring you more RV content. But I will say for now, for the next maybe 2 months, it's probably kind of on hold. And I think I mentioned this in the last show, but I'll say it now as a bit of an announcement. We are actually bringing on a full-time video person. We're bringing on a guy named Liam who's going to shoot and edit for us, and that's going to go a long ways to helping free up my time to be able to work on the RV channel. So anyways, those are all good things that are happening. The RV channel is not going away. We just don't have the time for it right now, but we'll be back at it soon.
It will be coming. Godric 214. Before you donated, you did ask a question. I just kind of dug it out of the pile there. Sorry about that. Followed up with a $10 donation.
Oh wow, man!
You were killing it. With Ram going away with the Hemi, what engine will they put in the Power Wagon? Right off the hop, I would say the Hurricane. Like, right?
Yeah, it makes sense, but to be fair too, I mean, Rams talked about moving away maybe from the 5.7, but not necessarily the 6.4. You know what I mean? They have two different Hemis because the Power Wagon's the bigger Hemi.
Yep.
I keep feeling like they're just going to push those V8s as long as they can as well. I keep waiting for them to say, hey, the Hellcats are going away, but they don't do it. So I'm not sure, man, when the 6.4 will go away. Will the Hurricane eventually end up in the HD? I don't know. Could it do it power-wise? Yeah, it could. But I am actually hesitant there, Matt. I mean, Ford hasn't done it. Ford never took a 3.5 EcoBoost and put it in the HD, even though they definitely could have. Because what I think about right away is those engines generally are designed for all of the heavy duties, meaning right up to the 5500s. So, for instance, the new Godzilla V8 that Ford made, that thing goes right up to, the 550s. So if you're going to put an engine in the HD, it doesn't just have to, you don't just have to think about 2500 series. You got to think about the whole range. So I guess what I'm saying there is no, I don't see the Hurricane ever coming to HDs. No one wants the reliability issues that come along with the little turbo that's screaming away all the time. I can see Ram consolidating to one HD V8 and then just the Hurricane in the 1500. That makes sense to me.
Yep. Okay, backing up a little bit here. Sorry. We've had about 5 of you guys, and I will just call you all out. Red Hawk, Shamil, Alex, and... No, that was 3 of you, sorry. You all asked basically the same question, so I just picked the one that was worded this way. Sorry. Is 4Runner going to be an open-top type Bronco Wrangler competitor? And we kind of talked about this when we were discussing.
I'm throwing the picture back up. I don't think so. Just based on this picture, I don't know. To me, it does not look like that roof is going to come off. It looks fixed roof to me.
No, I mean, and if this is literally, can you blow that up a little bit?
I'm blowing it up, yeah.
Blowing it up.
Enhance. Okay, that's as big as I can make it.
Okay,
here you
let's
go,
have
folks.
a look again. There we go.
Yeah, to me, that doesn't look like that roof is coming off.
No.
I think it's going to be a fixed roof.
Yeah.
Again, like the GX as well. Do I wish it had a roof that came off? Sure, because then again, it would be very much directly a Bronco and Wrangler competitor. But I just don't see Toyota going there. I can't imagine they would design this thing, Land Cruiser, by itself to have the roof come off. And if it was going to come off, we would have already seen it in the Lexus. So.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense that it would.
I don't think so.
It never has before in the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
If they took 4Runner in a new direction, like we kind of talked about before, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe broke out a whole new space for it in their SUV lineup, possibly.
Gotcha. Sorry,
but
yeah.
That's all speculation.
And they're correcting me because I kind of missed it. I understand the question now. That's Land Cruiser. Will 4Runner go open top like a Wrangler?
Yes.
So I missed that part.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't think so either. I just don't see Toyota doing it. I do not see them doing it.
It's too big a departure.
And we just talked about safety too. And if there's one company that would actually go, that's just not safe enough, it would be Toyota.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing it. I see them going, crazier with the powertrain and going electric or something like that. But I can't see 4Runner moving in that direction. Again, I think it would be cool because then you'd have a more direct comparison. But Toyota's not that company, right? Ford is that company with Bronco to be like, oh no, we're doing it. We're taking the doors off. We're taking the roof off. But Toyota's not that brand.
Okay, actually here, I'll jump on this one. Replace the pin. There it goes. Alrighty, so Ron came right at me.
Yeah.
Honda has a new 3.5 liter and their own transmission. Thoughts? Is it as good? Is it as good as current 3.5 and as good as the ZF 9-speed? The ZF 9-speed is not good. I will continue to say that to anyone that will listen.
Yeah, Honda had a lot of issues with it.
Avoid that transmission if at all possible. The 10-speed built by Honda, much better. The 8-speed also built by Honda, much better. I I have not personally driven the new 3.5. I've only looked under the hood when Steve had one. Steve had the Pilot Trail Sport at the cottage. It's the same as the old one. I saw a lot of familiar stuff in there, so I don't think it's going to be that different as far as its feel, its handling, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But overall, if, like I said, ZF, stay away. That's all I can really say about that. There's nothing else to say. It is a crap transmission. I've seen them break for no reason. I've seen them throw people into dashboards for no reason. I've seen them do all kinds of weird other things for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
So, bad transmission, stay away.
And Honda's moving away from it. So.
It's like Nissan and CVT. They're synonymous. Stay away. Honda, 9-speed, stay away.
Got it. Can we answer Rocky's question now?
I'm down to argue with Rocky because he's been getting real fired up.
Yeah,
so
we see that, man.
Let's leave his last one here. Let's go back to one of the ones he wrote that was a little nicer. Let's talk about this one because this is the one to really go after. Let's talk about EVs are a lie. Their range is another lie when towing and hauling. Trucks should only be made either diesel or gas. Even Toyota hybrid trucks are not good giving mileage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rocky, it's incorrect, man, and you're looking at it with too narrow a view. Electric trucks might not work for you, but they're incredible. Like, towing with an electric truck, the second you do it, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, this is wild how good this experience is. You're getting the weight distribution of that battery down on the floor, the instant torque. The way these trucks tow is so good. And now, to your next point, the range is a lie. No one is lying about the range, man. No one.
All the information's out there.
Yeah, the range
all of it.
sucks while towing.
We've got 3 different videos on the channel about the range. There are no lies.
The range sucks while towing. But here's my next thing. The range is no worse with your EV truck than it was with your gas truck. You put the big trailer on your gas truck and your mileage gets cut in half.
Yeah.
You put the big trailer on your EV, your mileage gets cut in half. Now again, granted, the charging experience sucks and it's frustrating. I'm not arguing with some of your points, but suggesting it's a lie is just incorrect. And then again, looking at it like saying EV trucks all suck. Well, they might suck for you because you live out in the sticks, but if you live in town and you know your route, they're honestly amazing. So I don't want to argue the point too hard. I just want you to try and not look at this with such a narrow view because EVs keep getting written off point blank, just all EVs suck. That's such a wrong way to look at it because they're so good at so many things. They might not be good for everyone. And if you want my take on the future, I don't think we'll ever move to an all-electric future. I know the governments have said that. I don't see that. I see EVs as being a big chunk of the market.
There's an evolution coming.
Because they work for a lot of people in a lot of ways. So anyways, that's the way I think you gotta look at this. Stop looking at it as like it's being forced on me and I'm being resistant. I think you gotta look at it as that's great for a lot of people and I'm happy we have more choices. We should all be happy to have more choices. And then
you can choose not to drive one.
Yeah.
And that's totally cool. Nobody cares. You made your choice. Good on you. At the end of the day, I mean, wind back the clock 150 years. Would you be arguing about diesel locomotives over steam locomotives? Like, the technology is changing. It's improving. It's not there yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
So keep your horses. We'll drive cars.
Yeah.
It's totally cool, man.
Yeah, so that's it, dude. But yeah, I just, you can't say they're a lie. That's just incorrect, man. Just look into
The
it.
information is out there, or go drive one for yourself.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, we're moving on from that. So, Sam, what are your thoughts on half-ton towable fifth-wheel travel trailers? Are they safe?
Half-ton towable fifth-wheel travel trailers. It's a huge part of the RV market, and more RV manufacturers are definitely looking into that because there's so many people with half-tons. These are sticky topics, man. Is it safe? If you're within your numbers, good. Most of those trucks will probably be over GVWR. That's when it becomes sticky, is how far over is okay. I won't say it's unsafe, point blank, because again, it's so down to that setup. It's down to that driver's abilities. So yes, I think you can be safe towing a fifth wheel with a half ton, but you have to make sure you understand what you're doing. You look into it. You know the trailer is a proper trailer for a half ton truck, etc., etc.
And you know your terrain. too. You know what?
Where you're going and
this
what
is the
you're
next
doing.
thing. Yeah, you've spec'd out your truck and your trailer and everything works, and it's like, yeah, we're going to the Rockies.
Yeah.
Big deep breath. Let's just make sure that we're thinking things through. Make sure you've got enough truck for what you're doing. Make sure you're not going to be pushing it to its absolute limit. And I mean, you know, you're in your truck, you're in your trailer, you're in there with your family, I'm going to assume. So, you know, it's me, it's Steve, it's our families, our kids. I want to have more truck than trailer, always.
Sure.
Just, I don't know, even if it's a little bit more. I want that little bit more so that I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point too. And then, like you said too, it comes down to, well, are you doing it once a year? Well, once a year, you're white knuckling a bit, but you're okay, and you're not going over the mountains. Fine, do it
Exactly.
half ton. You're doing it all the time. Yeah, get over trucked. You can't go wrong
You
there.
can't go wrong there.
So those are, you know what, it's not a question, like I said, I think can be answered with too much of a blanket statement. It comes down to the combination every time, and then so many other factors.
This one is just circling back to Godric 214, who's really on our team tonight. This one, just look really quick, guys. We're taking one small downshift from automotive news and talk. You don't have to donate money to us. We really appreciate you being here and watching. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button.
It helps.
Share us. Turn on notifications. Every little bit helps us get bigger on YouTube and supports us, and that's huge. And all it is a keystroke for you, and that's huge. We don't need dollars directly. Every little keystroke helps us out.
That's fair.
Thank you. All right. Greg, I'm just going to ask you this one.
Sure.
Have we talked about the LC teaser already?
Yeah, Land Cruiser.
Land Cruiser. Oh my God! It's my head. I'm like, what is LC?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's on me.
Yes, Greg, we talked about it. You can go back and watch it later. But Land Cruiser's coming. We're excited, and we don't know how it's going to slot next to 4Runner. That's the synopsis.
Okay. Oh, we answered this one already. Do you know if the GMC Canyon has the multi-matic bump stops? Yes, we answered
So there was a
that one.
second question about that, and you can find the name of the commenter, but someone else asked that question about the bump stops. So again, just to be clear, in what I saw, the GMC said no, it was not announced as standard equipment with those multi-matic hydraulic bump stops. Although I did see, the question was from Mobius Alpha.
Yeah.
According to Car and Driver, it will be available in some kind of package. So it'll just be an add-on, which is kind of strange, but there you go.
Yep.
I appreciate the EV talk going on. You know
Yeah.
what? It is interesting. And like I think I made my point pretty clear, but I just think that right now EVs do work for some people and they don't for other people. And you guys have been saying this in the comments, and we've said it as well. It's in its infancy. We have to give the time for the charging infrastructure to evolve, for charging in general to evolve, and who knows? Like, we're just starting out here. We don't really know where we're going yet. I don't think the automakers know where they're going yet. And they're making dumb decisions too. Case in point, the GMC Hummer, which I hate to pick on the Hummer all the time, but what a dumb EV. You know, no one needs a 9,000-pound ridiculous off-road EV truck. It's just
We picked on the H2 in the time of high fuel prices, and now we will pick on the Hummer EV in the time of high lithium prices.
yeah, man. I don't know. I guess GM did it as a halo vehicle just to show what they could do in the EV space, but it just feels so unnecessary. And if you're trying to tell me you're looking to save the planet, I don't think you're saving the planet with Hummer EVs.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we've had quite a spirited debate down here while we were going. Rocky's thanked us. Well, thanks, Rocky. I thought we came back around.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't love the fact that, you know, governments are mandating electric vehicles either. And we actually saw a really great presentation from Toyota. Toyota Canada came right out and told a group of journalists, they said, we're not happy that the government is telling us to build EVs. Because what they said is, look, we can save more overall emissions this year by selling a lot of Priuses or Prii and then a bunch of other hybrids.
Yeah.
If we sell a bunch of EVs, we're not going to save the same amount of emissions. So Toyota's point to the government was, stop telling us what technology to pick. Start telling us, hey, you need to save blank emissions this year, and let us do whatever the heck we want to do. And I agree with them in there, because then the free market is able to operate correctly, and if you, the consumer, chooses gas or diesel or hybrid or whatever, then the company can respond with more of those products. I don't love the fact that, yeah, EVs are the hot thing, and governments are all going EVs, but it's like, no, they're not necessarily saving the planet. You should just be concerned with emissions. They shouldn't care how we get to those savings. So
Exactly.
I love that point from Toyota, and I still firmly believe that those mandates won't totally come to fruition. The whole, no more ICE vehicles on sale. But that also remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, just to your point, Chamil there said charging will only get better. It's still young technology.
Yeah,
exactly. And again, history lessons here. When you had to go buy gasoline in a pharmacy or drugstore by the can, you had to walk in like you would walk into your grocery store to buy milk and purchase gasoline for your car long before pumping infrastructure existed, long before that all the road infrastructure existed. So it's early infancy days, and it just doesn't look like it because we've got hundreds of cars zipping around out there. But it's early. It's still early.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'll flip to the devil's advocate now too. It does suck. Like we just had the lightning for a week. Using public charging sucks. There's not enough chargers. The chargers are not reliable. Public charging is expensive here in Canada.
Yeah.
You're not saving a ton. We test way up north, so we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no chargers around, and then the closest charger in a town, there's only one charger in a whole town of like 30,000 people. So you hope that it's not taken up. So, like I said, I do definitely feel the growing pains too of if you buy an EV today, it is a lifestyle change. You hopefully can charge it at home forever, but if you have to go use public charging, it's annoying.
Well, the news over the last, month now, that Ford will be adopting the Tesla NCS charger.
Everyone's now announced
and
that.
And then
man.
GM jumped in and said, we'll jump on it. And Tesla went ahead and said, look, let's open up. Tesla's supercharging network and their placements and their abundance, it's great. They are great. I mean, for the guy, for example, I have a friend of mine who usually watches, but he's currently not here tonight. They just did a road trip from southern Ontario to the east coast of Canada, and from where we live, just north of Barrie, to approximately, I want to say, he said, some town in eastern Quebec. For the life of me, I can't remember. Point is, a drive that was probably about 10 hours, give or take. They spent a total of 51 minutes charging to get there. That's in like 3 different stops at superchargers.
Yeah.
Okay, he has 2 kids. You stop. People got to run in, go pee, do this, do that. It's probably about the same amount of time for you to stop at a gas station. Sure, the pumping took a lot faster, but you go in, you waste a few minutes here, waste a few minutes there. Could you have done it in 30 minutes instead of 50 minutes? Sure. Oh well, like Steve said, it's a lifestyle adjustment. But that network, the supercharging network, is
Tesla
great,
was very
and it
smart.
makes a lot of sense.
And Tesla, whether they had that foresight or not, they were very smart to jump on that right away and say, we're going to have the best infrastructure because it just makes buying the vehicle that much more, it makes more sense, makes it that much easier.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, smart. And yeah, everyone jumped on that NACS connection now. That seems to be the one that's won the day, and now everyone's going to move over to it. So.
Yeah. I saw a good question about not EVs here, and now I've lost it.
About not EVs. Ron just mentioned EVHDs. And again, I'll just come back to the fact that, yes, like...
They already exist.
Well, not just... No EVHDs.
Oh, well, not from, like, the big 3, but, like, Bright Drop and stuff.
Fair enough. But I just mean, having the torque of an EV in a heavy-duty truck makes all the sense in the world. I don't know why diesel electric hasn't been a thing in big trucks, because it's been a thing in trains forever. That always made sense to me. Why weren't we doing diesel electric trucks? But anyways, yes, I'm excited for those big trucks to get electrified too. Although that's not the immediate future. In this last big round of HD redesigns, which just happened over the last 2 years, no one mentioned anything about electrification. So for now, heavy-duty trucks are safe if you don't like electric.
Yep. So there, Mullah poster. Asks, of the Ranger in Colorado, whom do you reckon did a better job overall? Now, that's a broad question. Styling, power, well, I mean, they're the same power plants, relatively speaking. If you're going styling, personally, I mean, I've always been partial to GMC, so I would go in the GMC direction myself. What do you think? You've driven them. I still haven't driven them.
Well, I was going to say, let me qualify anything I say by saying we haven't driven the Ranger. So
Yep.
we've been in the Colorado and the Canyon, but not the Ranger. So I can only speak to what I've seen of the Ranger.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't want to speak too soon, but I kind of lean towards the Ranger. Colorado and Canyon are good. I don't love the 2.7 turbo. I said that in my review. I think I preferred the V6. So in my head, it just doesn't feel like a huge step, in the right direction. And those trucks are all simplified now. Ford went the other way. They're adding more engines, getting the big EcoBoost in the Ranger now. Ranger Raptor looks amazing. Again, AT4X was really fun to drive as well. Don't want to take away from the GMs, but part of me wants to say Ford. Plus, the other thing I really liked about the Ranger, man, was the back seat is really nice. I'm excited to get a Ranger back and jump in the back again, but from my 10 seconds of sitting in it at the launch, it felt really good. So I kind of lean Ford in this one, but let me qualify again by saying I haven't driven it. So maybe I'll drive it and it will totally suck and then it'll change. But as of right now, if I had to answer the question, I actually do kind of lean Ranger.
Okay. All right. Well, we had several people say this, so I'm just going to address it. We are in the Simcoe region, and Mr. Outsider Reviews said he spent a year in Borden.
Yeah.
We're not far. We actually went to an air show at Borden last summer.
Yeah, last summer.
Yeah, so that's
we're not far from Borden.
just down the street, relatively speaking.
Nice to have locals.
Yep. And then
You guys will see us cruising the streets.
we are out there. I'd just like to see more onboard generators with decent output for camping or work sites.
Totally,
even if
man.
not a hybrid, I think the pickup market could use more of that type of feature.
When Ford did it, the first thing most of us said was, why did it take so long?
Yeah.
Because Toyota, I think, has had it probably longer than anybody, but it was always just that 400-watt plug. And sure, you can run a couple little things off 400 watts, but you need a little bit more. So when Ford came out with Pro Power on board and they said, here's 2 kilowatts, up to 7 kilowatts if you get the hybrid, yeah, it just made all the sense in the world. Tacoma has it now. The new hybrid Tacoma, if memory serves, is 2 kilowatts.
Yep.
And those are great because it's like an overlanding off-road truck. So I think you're asking the question, but I think we might as well just say it's coming. It feels like it's coming now. Every brand is going, you know what? Brilliant idea. I don't know, what's an inverter worth? Not a lot of money compared to what they probably charge for the feature.
Exactly.
So from their perspective, I'm sure it just makes all the sense in the world. Oh, Jeep too. Sorry, the Wrangler. Jeep? When you get the 4xe,
what do they call it?
They call it the Power Box.
Power Box.
So you plug into your 4xe outlet. You also get just over 2 kilowatts. And like the Ford, when your battery is drained, the engine kicks on.
Yeah.
So the engine just acts as the generator.
Hyundai and Kia have made an adapter that goes into your J1772 on the back of your car and becomes a plug that you can plug an extension cord into.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
just not available yet.
Huh,
or
that's
it's back ordered till the end of time. Who knows? It's a very Hyundai move. Here it is. It's great.
Yeah.
But you can't buy it.
Yeah.
So it's out there though.
Any idea what the output?
I don't know.
Probably a
Like I said,
couple
I don't know all the numbers. I just know we happened to get one by accident. The head office shipped us one in a car by accident, and we returned it because we were afraid to sell it to someone.
Yeah, again, it makes all the sense in the world. And then the other thing, we've run the F-150. Now, I do get the argument of sometimes you want a mobile generator because you need to carry it up a flight of stairs or whatever, right?
Yep.
I get that. But if you can get your truck pretty close, you just buy a long extension cord, and your truck just sits there idling. It's so much quieter. Like, we own a pretty cheap generator from Princess Auto. It works great, but man, is it loud. It's so loud. So it's so much nicer just to have your F-150 sitting outside the shop, idling, basically, a little above idle, and you don't even hear it. So yes, anyways, love that feature, and I'm excited to see it come to more vehicles.
All right, Eric asks, best HD pickup, and then I've got one more for us, and I think we're just about wrapped up.
Well, so again, I've got to keep qualifying. We just recently drove the Super Duty, the new one, but it was only an F250 XL, so we haven't really tasted the whole range.
Yep.
And then GM, we're going to drive the 2024 Chevy HD the second week of August.
Yeah.
And we're also going to visit the Oshawa manufacturing plant where they're now building trucks again here in Oshawa, Ontario, and we're going to do a video on that. So that's cool. So we haven't driven the Chevy yet. We've driven the Ford. The Ram had no significant changes this year, but they did come out with the Rebel, and we have driven that. Now, though, yeah, I don't know. You're putting me on the spot with best HD truck. It's such a tough question. The trucks are all so good. Haven't driven the big diesels from any of the companies yet, but
we just had the gasser from
Ford did announce the ridiculous torque, 1,200 pound-feet. They did announce 40,000 pounds of towing. If there's any one truck company that's going to push bigger and badder than everyone else, it is Ford. So yes, the Ford HD, plus the really smart features on that Ford, such as now when you drop your tailgate, you can get parking sensors and a camera on the top of your tailgate.
So when your tailgate's down, you can still see.
Yeah, and again, as snowmobilers, I've always had sleds in the back of my truck, and then you can't use your backup camera. So it's a little thing, but leave it to a company like Ford to really try to cover all that stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is I lean a little bit forward on those HDs with the qualifier that I haven't driven them, so I can't say what they drive like, but there you go.
Okay. And then I'm going to circle back to Godric tonight, who's just been on fire.
Yeah.
And he can be our last question of the night. We actually talked about this in a previous live show, but it also has a new component. Is Ram going to step back into mid-sized trucks, and are they taking their time to maybe make it a full EV? So are they stepping back in? Yes.
Yes.
We had the confirmed or teased Rampage.
Well, so we had the Rampage, but again, just to clarify, that's not a mid-size. That would be a compact truck. Right?
Oh, that's right.
That's a Ford Maverick size truck.
Okay.
And the Rampage, it's a real thing. It already exists, but it's in Brazil right now. So we kind of get the feeling, and just from looking at the truck, it looked very Americanized. So it's sort of like, it looks like they probably will bring that here. Not confirmed yet, though.
Yeah.
But that would be a Maverick competitor. So then the question is, if they did that, would they also come back to midsize with the reborn Dakota? And we heard rumors of Dakota for a while, but then at the same time, they kind of feel like they fizzled out. No one's talking about it anymore.
Do they also already have a midsize? You have Rampage, Classic Ram, and then New Ram. It's kind of priced like a midsize.
Yeah, and of course you have Jeep Gladiator under the same umbrella.
Yep.
And that was always the question: was would Ram just grab the Gladiator and stick a Ram badge on it? And they never did that. So I guess the point here is, if they bring the Rampage and jump in against the Maverick, no, I don't see them getting back into the mid-size world.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't see it, man. Especially because they're pouring all their eggs into that new EV too, and a lot of money into that electric truck.
There's so much competition in that space, in that mid-size space.
There is. So I wonder if they're like Stellantis just says, we have Gladiator, leave them alone. But if Ram wants to come out with the Maverick Fighter, because that's a new area where they can conquest, that's what I see them doing. So I can see a compact Ram, but I don't see the mid-size Ram coming anytime soon.
Okay. So yeah, on that note, we are winding down time-wise. Ron has asked 3 times tonight, Ron. Steve, are you getting a 4x4 Toyota next year? Did you ever say anything about that?
I think we briefly talked about like what our dream trucks were, and I talked about wanting an FJ40.
Okay, maybe.
Because that's like, it is definitely one of my dream vehicles, is to get an old Toyota. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what you're talking about, Ron. And then I'll tell you too, Ron, because you always ask about Big Green, my 1985 Chevy K10. I just took it out of storage. I just put a new fuel pump and a new battery into it, and I made a video about that. So that video is coming soon, and it's running good now. So I'm happy with the truck again. So I'm gonna keep it. Isn't that always how it works? When it wasn't running and being unreliable, I was like, I should just friggin' sell this thing. But I like it again.
Sam says we didn't answer his question. Sam, I am scrolling back. I don't see your question, my friend. So you have about 9 seconds to ask it. Otherwise, what have we got coming up?
Yeah, throw your question in there, Sam. What have we got coming up? So I mentioned some travel. Next week, Matt, I got a pretty cool one. I'm going to the Goodwood Festival of Speed in England, in jolly old England.
That's a cool one.
So I have no idea what kind of truck content we can expect from the Goodwood Festival of Speed, but I am going to look for every truck I can.
Land Rover content.
Lots of
I'm sure
Land
there's going to be
Rovers.
lots of Land Rover content.
I'm going with Ineos. You guys probably saw my review on the Ineos Grenadier, so that was pretty cool. Ineos is bringing me to see their new pickup truck, because they're also revealing a truck version of that thing, so that's pretty exciting. And then lots of power sports stuff. We're going to go drive the brand new Kawasaki Mule 1000. That's going to be in a couple weeks in Texas. We're also going to a Can-Am event to drive an unspecified Can-Am vehicle. They just said, come on out to Nevada to drive something. But they won't tell me what it is yet.
Taking you to the desert. It's
So-
going to be something ridiculous.
It's going to be cool. So lots of power sports stuff, guys. If you haven't already, please go check us out on TK Power Sports because we're working real hard over there to bring you guys the best ATV and side-by-side content as well.
And in a fun turn, as long as you're over there on TK Power Sports, keep an eye out for Steven and I, and to all you fans of electric vehicles, on electric scooters. Those deals just got firmed up this week. We are getting a couple of these ridiculous 60-volt, 2,000-watt, like 90 horsepower, 100-kilometer-an-hour electric scooters that are designed to go off-road and on-road, and we will rip around on them and try not to die. I guess is the short answer. Wearing full protective gear, so that'll end up over there probably in the next month or two. Oh my goodness, we got Wave Runners.
Yeah, we have
Wave Runners is
Runners
another one
coming
I
up
saw
as
on
well.
the schedule today.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff coming. And then, sorry, I did scroll back and found Sam's question. I don't think he posted it.
Oh,
He was looking for the difference between the LM2 and the LZ0 engine for GM. I have both, but I don't feel any difference in horsepower and torque. Any thoughts? So first of all, Sam, I don't know
those motor codes.
codes like you know them. This is the replacement 3-liter. Yes, so they started selling the 3-liter inline 6 diesel. It went out of production for a little bit, and then they brought it back with some changes.
So the LM2 is the first iteration, the LZO.
And I do remember them saying customers were having issues with like long crank issues where the truck would just crank and crank and crank but wouldn't start.
Okay, revised combustionable, upgraded steel pistons. Okay, so they changed the guts and the design of the head a little bit to make it easier to fire.
Yes. So I guess, I don't know, Sam, I don't know what difference you would feel. I don't think it was about horsepower and torque. My understanding was it was about reliability. They were having issues and they changed.
Fuel swirl issues.
Yeah,
more
and
than
they
likely.
changed things to make sure that didn't happen anymore. So yeah, you obviously want to get the updated engine.
Yep.
That's all I kind of know about it. I don't know the exact details, but hopefully that answers your question.
I think so.
And on that note, I think we're good to go, Matt.
Good night, Ron.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for everybody for watching.
As always, email us, hey@trucking.ca. Leave us your questions, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
See ya.